if you employ more people, your demand is higher, then you might need another supervisor. Then your fixed cost for that supervisor will be incur an additional fixed cost, which is going to be fixed to the business. Or if you want to expand your demand of your restaurant, maybe to increase the seating area by expanding the outside and building a conservatory so you can put more tables down. Again, that's going to be another fixed cost to the business. Yeah? Okay, so what do we mean by semi-variable costs? What's a semi-variable cost? A semi-variable cost is something that may contain part of a fixed cost and a variable cost. So, for instance, an electricity charge, once every 3 months, you might get a fixed charge. Yeah? Or for BT, you will get a fixed charge. But then, depending upon your usage, the usage amount will be variable. Yeah? So here, there, you're relating it back to your business. You might get a fixed electricity charge, but then how much electricity you're using, or how much gas are you using in your business? That will all obviously depend upon your demand in your kitchens, and how many customers you've got coming, and how many dishes you're cooking, in terms of how much electricity and gas you're using. But that's going to be semi-variable, simply because you're going to get a fixed charge for electricity and gas, and also how much gas and electricity you're using as well. Make sense?
So let me just try and get this one. A semi-variable is a part of a fixed and variable cost.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Part of a fixed and variable cost. Okay. So there, in the question, if we go back to the question, it says discuss cost. So to discuss, we said to talk about costs. So I would like you to talk about, materials, labour, and expenses. Talk about direct costs and indirect costs, giving examples in your business, and then talk about fixed costs, variable costs, step costs, and semi-variable costs, and give examples to your business. Do you think you can do that? Yeah. So that's only the first part of the question. So now we need to move on to the second part of the question, which talks about what? When we talk about selling prices, so there are different parts of selling price. I know you've done marketing before. So if we talk about cost-based pricing, what is cost-based pricing? Cost-based pricing.
So price that is related to the cost of the item.
Okay, so what we're saying here is that if we say, Mary, that your signature dish costs how much? How much would your signature dish cost? Okay, but how much would it cost for the materials?
Oh, for the material, about
£5. Let's say it costs £5. If we were to apply cost-based pricing, we'll say for all our food, no matter what it is, we're just going to apply a 100% markup or 50% gross margin. 50% gross margin or 100% on top. So you're doubling it. So what would be the price be then that you would sell it for? If it cost you £5 and you had 100% on top, how much would you sell it for? £10. Yeah? Then obviously you'd add on the VAT on that, but forget the VAT for the time being. Here you would then just double it. So whatever your cost for each of your foods, no matter what it was, you would double it. And that would be cost-based pricing. You'll say you're going to make 50% on top. Or you might say, I want to make 200% on top. If I wanted to make 200% on top, then how much would that cost? If it's cost you £5... So if it costs you £5... So, okay. So if it costs you £5, and if it costs you £5 for the materials, yeah, and you wanted to make 100% on top, 100% on £5 is how much?
On top.
On top is £10.
So the extra £10.
So 5 plus 5.
Yes. So if you wanted to make 200%, it would be £15.
Yeah, with the original price that would be 20.
Yeah, but you're making 200% on £5.
Yeah.
So 200% on £5 would be £15. Yeah. So you take, but the point about cost-based pricing is you have a policy in your company. You say, if I'm going to adopt cost-based pricing, all my pricing that I know I need to have 100% on top or 50% gross margin, so I'm going to basically double the price. Okay, that's adopting cost-based pricing. Is that clear? And that is a strategy. You know, most wholesalers who are selling to retailers will say, I want to make a minimum of 35% gross margin. Do you understand? You know, they want to make 35% gross margin, at least, in order to cover all the other costs of the company. What do I mean when we're looking at the market-based pricing in terms of market skimming? What do I mean by market skimming?
So you look at the competitive price.
Look at the competitors' prices,
and you charge price that is higher than what.
and you charge a price that is higher than the competition. So you're skimming the market. Good. What do I mean by market penetration?
So that's the opposite of the skimming.
Yes, opposite. So what we're saying here is market penetration is we're looking at the competition and we want to go in lower than what the competition is selling it at. So we're kind of like being very competitive. Okay? Yeah. And obviously within those pricing with market skimming as well, or market penetration, you've also got psychological pricing as well in there as well. $9.99, $4.99, $7.49. Okay? And then you've got what type of other pricing have you got? You've got demand-based pricing. What do I mean by demand-based pricing?
Verifies about the demands of the product.
Yeah, so as the demand increases, so does the price. But if the demand falls, then so does the price. So you might have certain days on a Monday and Tuesday which are not, or you don't have high demand of people coming in. But then you might reduce the price to get people to come in on those days. Does that make sense? Yeah, good. And then so we've covered costing, and we've covered different types of selling prices. Selling prices in terms of cost-based selling prices, market skimming, market penetration, and demand-led pricing. Okay. Now the final thing we need to do is to talk about gross profit percentage margins. Now, if we look at here, let's say take one example. Who wants to give me one example? So if we take this group here. So what if you had sales of, how much sales would you have? £10,000. Yeah. And how much? What's your cost of sales? £4,000. What's your gross profit? 6,000. So what's the formula for gross profit percentage margin?
Profit over sales.
Profit divided by sales times 100. So the formula for gross profit percentage margin is profit divided by sales times 100. So if you put in your £6,000 in your gross profit, divided by how much? £10,000 times
100.
gives you what? 60% gross profit percentage margin. Is that any good to you? Is that any of use to you?
No, unless you compare it.
Good. It's not any good until you can compare it to either previous years or other competitors in your marketplace. Let's say other competitors are achieving a 70% gross profit percentage margin and you're only achieving 60% gross profit percentage margin. What does that tell you?
Well, you tell, two things, or one
Good.
or two things.
Good.
Which mean the stock them that you purchase isn't too high.
Good.
Or you need to, increase the price of
Good.
food and stuff like that.
Well done, Tender. That's excellent, because this is telling you one of either two things. If you can compare it to other competitors and you're lower than everyone else, then this is telling you that either you are buying your materials, your stock, too high, find another supplier, or negotiate better prices. Or alternatively, your selling prices are too low, which means you're not making enough gross profit. Understand? So, just to recap briefly. When you're looking at 2.1, you need to obviously do it in relation to your case study, which is the restaurant. And then you need to talk about costing, because it's asking you to talk about three things: costing, selling prices, and gross profit percentage margin. Firstly, talk about cost in terms of materials, labour and expenses. Give examples. Talk about explain, direct cost, indirect costs. Give examples in relation to your business. And then explain fixed costs, variable costs, step costs, and semi-variable costs. And then give examples in relation to your business, which you've already done. Then, moving on to selling prices, I want you to talk about cost-based pricing, market penetration, market skimming, and demand-led pricing. Explain them. Then, tell us which one you're going to go for your restaurant and why. And then finally, talk about gross profit percentage margins in terms of the gross profit percentage margin being profit divided by sales times 100. Give an example for 1 month. If the sales were £10,000, cost of sales £4,000, your gross profit is £6,000. Profit £6,000 divided by sales £10,000 gives you times 100 gives you a gross profit percentage margin of 60%. Compare it to your competitors. If you're doing worse than them, then increase your selling price or decrease your cost of sales. Any other questions?
No.
So you have to make sure that you cover all these three in the question. Okay, how many words are we looking for in this question?
400.
About 450. 150 per section. That's it. Well done today. I know it's been long going. You've done amazing. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.